Very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Anu Gulmoha from the GT Goenka Group, and we're here for the much-awaited webinar on parenting in the 21st century, building bridges, flourishing together. Please allow me to welcome our esteemed panel, beginning with Dr. Jitendra Nagpal. He is a renowned psychiatrist and senior consultant at Moolchand, Medcity, New Delhi. He is an advisor to the Institute of Child Development and Adolescent Health, with a special focus on child, adolescent, and women's issues. He is also the program director of Expressions India, the life skills and national school mental health program that empowers schools to integrate life skills and mental well-being into their curriculums. Expressions India is a well-recognized and awarded initiative by government and non-governmental organizations of the country. Dr. Nagpal is a leading voice in child and adolescent mental health. He has spent decades helping families navigate the complexities of modern parenting, and we are so grateful that he could take out the time to be here with us today. Thank you, Dr. Nagpal. The other two esteemed panelists today are both principals of GT Goenka Group's flagship schools in Sohna, Gurugram, Ms. Sonali Sinha, principal of GT Goenka World School, and Ms. Sumana Dutta Sarkar, principal of GD Goenka High School. Ms. Sonali Sinha, principal of GD Goenka World School, has over 35 years of experience in education, with the last 20 years dedicated to leading some of India's top schools. A graduate of Lady Shri Ram College, she holds a master's degree in history and dual bachelor degree in history and education. Throughout her distinguished career, Mrs. Sinha has received numerous accolades. She was recognized as one of the top 50 effective principals of the country and was awarded Fortune 50's Future 50 Leaders Shaping Success in 2019. She has also been honored with the prestigious Uttarakhand Ratan Award, recognized by Global School Leaders Consortium as the Global Edu Icon in 2023 and as an Edu Beacon in 2024. She continues to inspire us all daily as the principal of GD Goenka World School, which recently received India's top prestigious school jury award at the Maharashtra Educators Summit and Maharashtra School Merit Awards 2024. Presented by Education Today, the award acknowledges the school's quality leadership and exemplary contributions to the field of education. Mrs. Sinha has also spearheaded several international collaborations with institutions such as Bellon School in France, Scotland's Williamston School, and Dedrick School. Moving to my final introduction before we begin our discussion is Ms. Sumana Datta Sarkar, Principal of GT Goenka High School. Ms. Sarkar is also an esteemed leader in the field of education and brings with her more than 28 years of experience across various levels of teaching and administration in the K-12 segment of CBSE education. She has a proven track record of building a culture of happiness in schools and strong socio-emotional connect between all the stakeholders. She has been instrumental in designing and implementing strategies for effective inclusion and holistic development of children with special needs. A firm believer of the impact of positive teaching, Ms. Sarkar has led the Teacher Training Division of Bharti Foundation, the philanthropic arm of the Bharti Airtel Group. A certified Lean Six Sigma professional, Ms. Sarkar's rich and varied experience in both private and social sector, as well as her experience in school and the corporate way of working, gives her the unique ability to understand and appreciate the need for bridging gaps between school education, higher education, and industry requirements. I welcome all of you, our esteemed panelists, as well as the audience members who have joined us this Sunday evening for our webinar on parenting in the 21st century. Parenting since the beginning of time is a skill that mothers and fathers naturally pick up, guided by their close-knit circle, mostly consisting of family members. Dr. Nagpal, I have to ask, why is there now a need to discuss this topic at all?
Thank you. A very good afternoon and a happy Sunday. One of the last penultimate Sundays of the beautiful year gone by. And of course, welcoming the 2025. And what a wonderful, intriguing topic, parenting. And parenting is a process, we all agree. And the process starts from one aspect of the roots and we take on to the wings every year, every decade, and every century. No doubt that the need of such a dialogue, both at level of a family, in the society, more so in the schools and the other educational institutions, it is a mandate. I feel it is a mandate now. It's not just a luxury to talk about these topics anymore. Very well said, ma'am, and what an honor to be in the midst of learned teachers and our education warriors who are shaping the child of the future and the shaping the nation of the future, India. Well, thanks for inviting me, and I do feel quite enthusiastic, energetic, and enabled by all of you present here. And I'm sure today this dialogue is going to once again help us do a little reflection, do a little introspection on what matters for a nation when it comes to the population of young people, the bright young minds of the country. And does it really matter that all concerned, all concerned citizens of the country sit together and look at what beholds for the future of the child in India? And also, with the changing times and the impressions we gather from the expressions of our young minds, the impressions we gather from the expressions of a teenager, and the impressions we gather from those who walk to the portals of the college and the higher institutions. Are they carrying the bandwidth? Are they carrying the demographic influences? Are they carrying the, I would say, the emotional regulation, emotional baggage from their childhood into the higher education institutions and then become the charming and challenging young people of the country? Well, these are the thoughts that come to my mind, and I'm sure all of us share those thoughts. Well, India stands at a time, well, for the timing I'm talking about India, I know parenting applies to the global scenario. India can boast about more than 350 children, million children, 350 million children, and more than that, of course. So that may constitute about 15% of the entire world's children are in India. And not to forget that there are about 190 countries. And if 15% of the whole world's children are in India, do we need to attend? Do we need to address such a dialogue of parenting? Because parenting is not about dad and mom. Parenting is about an environment that is conducive to the survival, participation, complete protection, and holistic development. So SPPD, survival, protection, participation, and overall human development. If that is an acronym that goes well with us for the time being, and encompassing a 360-degree life cycle approach will help us to come close to the nurture and the nature debate when it comes to 350 million plus young little minds of the country. Are we taking care of enough of the survival of this group, which is a demographic advantage to the country? Are we taking care of enough to protect their physical, psychological, social, spiritual needs at that foundational years and the teenage? Are we doing enough to, as parents, to make them participate, to have a voice in the expressions of the world around them? Are we having a complete holistic developmental perspective to them from the eyes of a parent and the grandparent and the friends and the teachers who matter? So these are the four questions that come to my mind when you talk about whether we need this topic at all, because going through a rapid we are going through a rapid cycling of the entire process of human development. Thanks to the technology of development, we are confronting good challenges, very wonderful. I would say the most gifted. Uh, I would say this is the most gifted century of the entire human existence, because you look at everything that is available on beck and call. Children born in this new millennium have got a huge advantage of getting compassion, care, conveniences, and also not to forget healthy communication from everywhere. So the need is there. We need to talk more and more because the challenges will be more, since globalization, industrialization, and also not to forget the empowerment of every human being is so important. The topic becomes important because challenges are equally multifold and I would say boundless.
Hmm.
Over to you, ma'am.
True, absolutely. In what ways, Ms. Sinha, would you say that schools and families can collaborate in this scenario and promote overall well-being of the child?
Thank you for that question, Anu. So, schools and families are definitely the cornerstone of a child's growth and development. So, if we collaborate meaningfully between the parents and the school, we are bound to create positive stimuli and impetus for our children, their growth, development, and overall well being. In fact, at the GD Goenka World School, we believe that education goes far beyond the walls of the classroom. And we believe that it is about nurturing students who will be confident, balanced, resilient, and more importantly, be able to do their best in any sphere and anywhere across the globe. So at our school, we create a whole lot of initiatives for these positive collaborations between families and the school. I'll just share a few. We have something known as the coffee mornings, where parents and teachers come together and use this as a bridge, not only to ask questions, but to brainstorm, to look into the development and growth process of their children, and finally come to a shared set of goals for the educational journey of our children. We have another coffee morning, which is between parents and the school management and senior school leadership. Here, we do not look at any particular child. Here, we look at a partnership. Here, we look at interactions and planning across the school community. Another very novel platform that we have at the World School is the Triangular Conference. This is something which caters to all stakeholders. So we have the students, the parents, and school leadership who congregate. And through this conference, we are able to provide our children with true agency because children bring up issues and challenges. And what better platform where you see your parents and teachers unite as partners? In fact, at these forums, we get issues and challenges from children, not only restricted to the school environment, but also to what happens in the home. And together, we look at solutions, make sure collaboratively we offer our children the solutions. Something which comes to my mind when it comes to partnership is at both ends of the spectrum. At the formative years, from the nursery to grade 5, where we follow the IBPYP program, we have a very strong partnership between families and school. And then at the other end of the spectrum, for grades 11 and 12, once again, the partnership is again extremely strong. But at the PYP, it really amazes me how we work in tandem and in alignment with the parents. So, right from policy planning, whether it is what kind of homework the school should be involved with giving our children, or how much screen time should we come to as a consensus for our children. And ultimately, at the end of the PYP journey, when in grade 5, our students showcase an exhibition, parents, children, and the school come together to showcase this exhibition. So the children decide what is going to be the theme of the exhibition, and then the parents and the teachers sit together to plan out the execution of this exhibition, which is not only a showcase of academic excellence, but each and every sphere of development. It could be the performing arts, it could be sports, so I think when all of us come together, there is a absolutely positive synergy. And this environment values every child. And we inspire children to be able to bring out the best, whatever they have within them. And also, I think more importantly, the children feel secure when the parents and the school are on the same page.
Absolutely. Co-parenting in a way almost.
Absolutely.
Ms. Sarkar, if you would tell us about, share your thoughts on what the national education policy suggests about the role of parenting in a child's development.
Thank you, Anu, and a very good afternoon to everybody. So before we talk about what NEP 2020 suggests, which obviously addresses the issues of 21st century parenting, let's actually, I like to talk about the issues. So what happens is, which Dr. Nagpal was trying to also bring in the same fact, that uh, parents of today, a parent's minimum age today is about 30 years. And hence, either the parent of today is reflecting the parenting that has happened to him or her, or the parent of today is trying to find out a shorter way to have a happy relationship with the child. So, parenting today is working in two different extremes. One extreme of parents believe that their role is to correct the children. They come from a place of know all. And when I say they, I mean all of us, the society actually. So we either come from a place of know all where we are correcting the children, or and we also, these are the parents who believe that the children have to actually reach a place. uh, if they do not have the pinnacle of success in whatever they are doing, then in whatever and everything that they do, they need to reach that pinnacle of success, and they deserve accolades or appreciation only if they have reached that level of expectation. This is one set of parents. The other set of parents, because of the kind of shortage of time that both parents are, where we have working parents today, nuclear families. So, because of the shortage of time, they feel that the quality parenting should be about having a happiness quotient where the idea of guiding a child is left to the school or other external agencies. Now, what NEP 2020 actually tries to do is address this situation and bring on a balance where we try to, the policy talks about parenting with the understanding that it is statistically impossible for any child to be successful in every endeavor that he or she is taking up. It goes against laws of probability. So, parenting needs to be about understanding that the child needs to have a lot of exploration to understand where he or she actually can shine on, and hence uh, to have appreciation in the journey rather than at that one goal which which the child needs to reach. So, are we appreciating every time the child has done something better than yesterday? Is a question that NEP 2020 is trying to, raise. The policy talks about having a growth mindset in the parent so that the parent can exude that kind of mindset to the child, where success has to be balanced. Success has to come from the learnings that we have from the mistakes or the failures that we have. And that journey is all about, what education is all about. So that is what NEP 2020 aims at doing, uh, trying to create uh, this small little appreciative steps so that the children feel happy, secure, and happy to learn and grow, happy with their parents, happy with their schools. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sarkar. NEP is laying down the foundation for what is, of course, a day-to-day practice in all our schools now. And we're all actively trying to enjoy the journey, making sure that the parents and children are both enjoying the journey, growing with every mistake and every success. And I'd like to take a moment to tell our all the participants today. Thank you for joining in today. And if you have any specific questions, please do put them into the comment box. And once we are a little closer for another 20 minutes, we'll take all the questions from the audience. So feel free to put in any questions you would like to ask. Moving on, there's considerable scientific knowledge as well that throws light on a child's foundational years having a lasting impact on their personality development. Dr. Nagpal, could you tell us about the role early childhood education plays in shaping a child's cognitive, emotional, and social development?
Thank you, ma'am. Um, what an alarming call for all of us to think deeper on every aspect. I'm thankful to our other panelists here to take such a closer look at the beautiful development of child in a developmentally oriented world. Yes, we are a developmentally oriented world now when we're looking at a country's development, and we cannot forget the human resource. We are proud. We are proud because we are proud of the abundance of human resource in our country. We are yet to scale up to the highest levels of technology revolution, but then nonetheless, I think traditional and modern developmental perspectives still go in the favor of not leaving the roots. The traditional modes of being together, celebrating togetherness, and coming with compassion for each other. Can those virtues and values be forgotten? So we're thankful to our co-panelists over here for highlighting those pointers. Well, taking the clue from what I just heard from Sumana ma'am also, um, there is a speed, there is a hurry, which is a little worrying. There is a speed about जल्दी बड़े हो, come on, क्या करना है, क्या बनोगे लाइफ में, डॉक्टर बनना है, इंजीनियर बनना है, आईआईटी में जाना है, फिट जी है, ये है, वो कोचिंग करना है. So by the time I am realizing that this beautiful blossoming, I would call it a caterpillar or a beautiful little nubile, soil driven, sunshine driven, manual driven, and compassion driven flower is being driven to the fallacy of arrival. The fallacy of arrival is यहाँ पहुंचना है, उधर पहुंचना है, वो destination में पहुंचना है. Where is the journey gone? Where is the beautiful left and right, beautiful journey of a train? I think all of you travel by train also. We are proud to have Vande Bharat and Shatabdis in our country now. I think sometimes we do wonder that let's get onto these trains only to travel, not about the destination where we're going to reach. We at least get to know that, wow, I know speed is important, but we can't ignore our senses. Our fantastic senses God has given us. Can they be imbibed? That is foundational years. We are losing them. We are losing those beautiful sensory integrated moments in the family, moments in the classroom, moments in the society. The left and the right of life only driven, I would say, destination driven and not journey driven. So, my humble request to all the listeners and maybe the times to come, let's all unwind a little bit to realize that हम अपने बचपन को बड़े होने के बाद भी बिल्कुल ना खोएं. बच्चे ये कंप्लेन कर रहे हैं कि हमारा बचपन बहुत जल्दी भाग रहा है. My childhood is running so fast that I've forgotten to be a child. I am an overgrown child and a very early grown up adult. Well, we need to spend a little time and foundational years, ma'am, as you said rightly, early childhood or today the foundational years. The biggest scientific evidence today related to that period of life is about neural networks in the brain. We all know that more than 85-90% of the neural network, the synaptic junctions in the human brain, are made by 7-8 years. The imprints and the impressions of the biological makeup of the human brain, the structure, the quantum, the hardware is done. Then what do we do if we don't protect, we don't develop, we don't nurture, we don't water the sunshine of those first 7-8 years of life? You ask me, I would say the most important person, maybe after mother and of course father, and sometimes more than mother, father, is the primary school teacher, is the preschooling teacher. Because here is somebody away from the family in the school does the work of nature and nurture put together. Every moment, activity based, or I would say gratitude for the whole idea about being together in a classroom of 30, 40 toddlers moving up to maybe the third standard or the fourth standard. And the impressions of socialization, pro socialization, intermixing of smiles and senses and playfulness and togetherness, gratitude for each other, the learning of compassion, communication, care for each other goes back to the family. We all know how many. I know at least about five uh, children from standard 1 to standard 4 who actually changed their parents after going back from the school to the family,
What do you
and
say?
asking the father to give a little time for early childhood, because this is what the other Boy told him, because we become a small animal farm in the evening at home. Dad, mom, me, and brother. We become a small jungle book at home. We become the camel, the elephant, and the lion, and we play the jungle book at home as people, not the game, not the movie. So this child tells the father, can we play this? Can you be the camel for me today? Can you be the elephant for me tomorrow? And of course, apart from the Cartoon Network, there are beautiful nature's gifts at home. Can we play those? So what I'm telling you is early childhood can never, never be forgotten, because then life is forgotten. Then life is forgotten. So my humble request to the parents is know more about early childhood, know more about the foundational years. There's a lot of scientific evidence which our teachers can give us. Get back to your preschooling teacher, the I would say the nursery, the kindergarten, and the primary school teacher. They have enough resource. They have enough technology. They have so much of, I would say, emotionality to share about caring, sharing, and learning from each other. If there are 100 students in your preschooling and early primary schooling, I'm sure all of them are 100 teachers. Every child is a teacher, unique, innovative, expressive. Give them the opportunity. I would say a good school is one who allows freedom for the learner to have a joyful ambience in the school. The best school is where the school allows 100 toddlers to be 100 teachers, because each child equates with the pedagogy of 21st century. I would sit in one corner and observe the play, their expressions, their hidden away smiles, their shyness and the smile and the crying and the tears. They speak volumes of encyclopedia of mankind. Let's observe them. Parents, observe their twinkle in the eyes, observe their little yearning for you. The fact that often parents are talking to me but not listening to me. Often the parents are with me but not within me. This is what children feel by the time they come to their early teen years. That you are around, but I still feel that we are not with each other. The dining tables are empty, the rooms are all full, but the main hall is empty in the home. We are all with our digital world. I would say this is the digital arrest that is happening. We talk about cybercrime and digital arrest. Are we far behind in the family? We are digitally arrested in our own domains at home. The little one is missing out complete holistic child development. So, the two things which I want to highlight in this part of the question is there is enough evidence that the brain sciences are contributing to such a wonderful pedagogical neuroscience today, not for the doctors, not for the nurses, but for the teachers. The human brain development is so relevant for the way these senses are integrated in a very positive, inclusive, diverse. In India, I would say the deeper you go into the smaller cities, you'll find such wonderful diversity, and that diversity is our pedagogy. These are the lesson plans. Children tell us the lesson plans. We don't have to make them. They speak volumes of the lesson plan the teachers need to adopt, because it is the need of the child that is my lesson plan. It is not the need of the education system. What child says becomes my lesson plan. So the dad and mom cannot be far behind. I would say that the school is the first Vidyalaya, the first and the most important Vidyalaya. Then my GD Goenka school supports that particular school called the family. If you have 1,000 kids in your school, you have 5,000 learners in your school, including four members of the family of each of those children. The best school is one who I would go with what ma'am was just mentioning. The best school is the one who breaks the walls of the school, the virtual walls, and allows every family to be a teacher and every family to be a learner. I think that's will then how we'll celebrate the early childhood, and no wonder the teenage would be much easier to come across with the terms of communication.
Wonderfully put, Dr. Nagpal. Like it's truly need of the child is what should be guiding the learning process as well. And moving to Miss Sinha here, um, in GD Goenka World School, how are you devising ways and actionable practices to help children to develop into more creative thinking individuals?
Thank you for that, Anu. So, what comes to my mind immediately, and going in sync with what Dr. Nagpal just mentioned, is nothing but free play and exploration, both of which are integral when it comes to developing creativity and critical thinking. All these self directed activities allow the child to be the leader of his or her learning experience. And more importantly, also the decision maker. And ultimately, they explore ideas at their own pace. And at the IBPYP program, both agency and inquiry based learning is what we look at. Both play and exploration have key benefits. I'm not going to go into the benefits, but what I want to really highlight here is the fact that if you put the child in the driver's seat and the parent and the teacher is just an observer, not a passive observer, the child is in the driver's seat of his or her own learning experience. He or she understands that he is the choice maker, he is the decision maker, and he has to be responsible and take ownership for the learning that has to happen or not happen. Now, when I say the teacher and the parent is an observer, but not a passive observer, I think the most important thing that we need to do as teachers and parents is just to take a back seat, observe and make detailed notes on every child who is going through the process of play and exploration in a team, in an ecosystem that he or she has agreed to be in. And through this anecdotal observation that we make, when the children are asked to reflect on their learning, we have to give them the feedback. And based on this feedback, which is very subtly put, there's no pressure, there's no stress. The feedback helps them move forward to the next activity and the next stage of learning and development. More importantly, I think what the child learns is that there is a comfort in the mind of the parent and the teacher, and they are allowing him to go with the flow and blossom at his or her own pace. That is the most important thing. So, in fact, in our classrooms, we don't teach design thinking specifically. We have makers' corners. So, like at the kindergarten for our nurseries and KGs, there could be a corner with Lego blocks, there could be a corner with the broken toy, and the child is just going to play and explore and definitely understand what is cause and effect, definitely understand association, relationships, and building. And ultimately, that's what we want. That's how learning takes place so beautifully without even the child realizing, and it is a joyful experience. So I think play and exploration are so self directed and unstructured, and yet giving the child the freedom to explore at his or her own pace, and thus allowing learning to be a joyful experience.
Thank you, Ms. Sinha. Ms. Sarkar, would you like to add to this topic?
What I would say is I would take it from not just foundational years, but through and through. And in my opinion, the one thing that when a child of any age comes to a school, the child is spending minimum 5 to 6 hours in the school, along with the transport. About one third of his entire day is spent in the school. So unless he feels safe, secure, comfortable, cared for in the school, he or she will not be interested in coming. And that, in other words, is what we call happiness. So, do we have a culture of happiness in the school? Now, at GD Goenka High School, we endeavor to make that culture possible. So, when will we find that that culture is actually there? When teachers and students arrive every morning, uh, are the children feeling enthusiastic, energetic? Can we hear some nice laughter echoing down the corridor? Are the teachers enthused enough to give their best for the day and learn along with the children? Are the children engaging with each other happily? Those are the criteria by which we can make out whether there's a culture of happiness inside. And to do that, to ensure that we have that culture so that every child feels like coming to school every day. Because unless we have that basic feeling, learning comes beyond that. So what we try to do certain things. So one of the things is that we acknowledge, we appreciate behavior and achievement. Now, it's not, we can do big things like giving them certificates, but we can also do small little things like a pat on the shoulder, a small little smiley on the hand, or just calling out the child in front and say, hey, the entire classmates, we can say, hey, this guy has done this. So don't you think it deserves appreciation? Maybe he's acted out of empathy. Maybe it's not necessarily doesn't have to be, something scholastic that he's done, but whatever behavior and anything academically that he's achieved, any kind of achievement, the acknowledgement to do that is, who doesn't like acknowledgement and appreciation? That's the first thing that we do to ensure that the child feels good. Uh, the second thing that comes to mind is that while there are many rules about the school, there are class rules, there are discipline rules, there are school rules. Now, all these rules are about do's and don'ts. And while the children know the do's and don'ts, what happens if they don't do something that is supposed to be done, or they do something that is not supposed to be done? What we try to stress on at Goenka High School is, uh, why should you do it? And why should you not do it? So, for example, if there's an anti bullying policy in place, in addition to the children knowing what happens if they bully, we try to have sessions where we try to have empathy sessions where a child will know what it feels like to be bullied. The children who are good at painting can actually draw the effects of bullying, and that could go as anti bullying posters around the school. So, in addition to knowing what is right, or I have to do this because it is the rule, we're trying to create children who understand what is the right path, even when there are no rules, because that is the adult we are trying to create. In this, as already spoken earlier by Mrs. Sinha, we also at Goenka High School, we also do the same thing. We have very very good parent connect. So, in addition to the PTMs, the coffee mornings, we also have something called Samvad, where we call parents. The parents could be from different walks of life. The parents could be professionals who come and address other children, maybe of different grades from their own children, or they may just be grandparents or extended family, or even parents who have the time to come and simply interact with children. So this is like creating an atmosphere of comfort where the children know that this is my second home. In fact, the residential children for our residential facility, this is their first home. And in that, we also have the fun element attached. So uh, Dr. Nagpal mentioned the attitude of gratitude. We practice that. We try to practice that with our children. We even have things like, if it's been a rainy morning and the rain has ebbed by the afternoon and there's a lot of stick insects around, we have children being taken on maybe a dragonfly walk, where children are simply walking through, passing by, and seeing dragonflies around in nature, appreciating the marvels of nature. We are located at a beautiful campus at Sohna, which is, base of Aravallis. So the residential children at times, or even the others, are taken out on a walk to the Aravallis. Now, some may just enjoy the hike, some may enjoy the collecting small little things. It's all about creating that happiness of uh, being at a place where I feel comfortable to be who I am. I am appreciated for who I am, and there is no race about what I need to be, as Dr. Nagpal put it so nicely. I have to be here. I have to be here. So that race, while it is there, the academic rigor being maintained, this is the basic comfort level that we try to provide to children, so that thereon they can carry on a journey to their dreams.
How
So
lovely.
happiness, according to me, is the culture we try to create all the time.
Thank you, Ms. Sarkar.
Thank you.
It's all about giving a safe and nurturing environment to all of our students, and moving from foundation years to adolescence. In fact, we've also received some questions previously about this challenging time. from Miss Jyotika Saikia from Gurugram. She says, how do we make meaningful connections with adolescents beyond the classroom? And Dr. Nagpal, if you can come in here and um, tell us how parents can overcome the challenging years of adolescence.
What a wonderful question. And I'm sure, again, I repeat that we're getting all charged up with the wonderful discussion that is building up now. And heartfully thankful to Sonali ma'am and Sumana ji for taking us and maneuvering us through the foundational years. And now we come to the skyline of the pre-teens and the pre-adolescents. Just to take a recap, I think the fundamental task of parenting is to, build up enabled, empowered, energized, enthusiastic, happy children. The fundamental task of schooling is to create a joyful, happy child, isn't it? Nothing else matters. No wonder countries like Bhutan, they don't talk of GDP and per capita income. No, they talk about gross national happiness, because nothing matters than a smile on the face of a citizen. And that's possible when every child is a smiling child, or at least a child feels taken care, supported, given the necessary security to be a happy human being. So when we are developing, when we go back to physical sciences, the scientific evidence, our brain is full of filters, excellent, divine filters, and with so much of the bombardment of knowledge from all 360-degree missiles coming in from the classroom, from the parent, from the family, from the society, the television, the tablets, and the mobile phone. The brain is a fantastic, very, very intricately weaved, I would say, a machine that God has made to allow a very comfortable, gradual filtering of irrelevant knowledge and irrelevant stimuli that are not required for the time being. And that's how we nurture. That's how we nurture ourselves when we move into the teenage. So by the time we are into the adolescent part, we know our brain has taken control of its overall development biologically, which we mentioned. We are sure that certain groundwork for emotional regulation and validation is done to my personality, which is growing from childhood to adolescence. And adolescence, by its own etymology, means to keep on growing. That means bachpan ke baad kishore avastha is a jump a little over troubled waters, a little challenging, charming, because mirrors become our beautiful friends during our teenager lifetime. And that's why I start groping for another group of activities in my life. I have this beautiful need for independence, independence from myself, not only from my parents and teachers. The beautiful body and mind, they struggle with each other. There are frustrations. I get frustrated, and I also get flickers about who am I, what am I, how do I look like, what am I going to be, what kind of a career I need to do. Chachu said you'll be a doctor, Mamu said you should be this, Mama said you can do that. The idea is, can I be looking at something which I wish to do in life rather than become in life? These designations of life start compelling the teenage of today. So the question is very close to my thinking. Connections are possible only if we go by the appropriateness of the times the teenage are going through their 13 to 19 and a little before that. What is the biological term? We all know, the puberty, isn't it? So to me, 10 to 19 is adolescence, as we all know. 10 to 13 would be approximately the puberty, where biological growth and spurts happen, we all know. And 13 to 19 is a sociological term, which means teenage. So teenage plus puberty is equivalent to adolescence, if we can remember that equation. So if the puberty is enabled and made a little comfortable, because the anguish about hairy growth, the voice change, and the height, and the pimples, the scars, the little spots on the face, my God, that can be simply creating a harrowing experience with no need at all. So it's up to us all together as a family to comfort the transition. Many of them say that this transition from childhood to early teens is fraught with so many confusions, the chaotic experiences about the suddenly growing body and mind and the needs and the demands, the attractions, the gangs in the school and gangs in the colony, and the way we move on with each other. It's so natural. All of us have gone through it. The idea is, can we help? Can we help the new age 21st century child a little better than that? Because the external influences, compared to what all of us have gone through, the external influences beyond me are much more overpowering than what we had, say, about 20, 30 years back, or maybe even 40 years back. Because the internal mechanisms which help the hormonal hurricane, the hormonal oceans to flourish, blossom, and families try to buttress it. That happened, and now the social media, the validations from the world outside seem to be overpowering. That's the new world for the teenager today. That validation coming from 100 likes on the Instagram, 100 likes on the WhatsApp, or maybe the Facebook, or maybe the LinkedIn. And we have to gracefully accept communication had to happen. So it happened in this manner. So also we need to have shock absorbers. We also need to develop those cushions which do not bring in the shock to a 11-year-old or a 14-year-old, because that's where the family and the school and the teachers and the counselors come in to help us accommodate, adapt, identify areas where my strength and weaknesses of, coming to terms with the rapidly growing external reality from 11 to 18 years is not overwhelming me. That is life skills, my self awareness, my empathy, my critical thinking, my problem solving, and my coping with stress and relationships. And that is where I would say the best of the schools do it. They have classrooms brimming with life skills. It is not about physics, chemistry, and geography anymore, or English anymore. It's about the way I deal with my pro social environment, my bodily changes, my mind and its demands, and chiseling out my current learning capacity for a career, whatsoever it may be later. But at least now, having a faint idea about the purpose and the goal of a career. It can change later in life, but that is where the good schools, the best schools, and the best of the families need to have time, energy, investment onto the conversations with a teenager. It's not at all difficult to have a teenage conversation. I think it's a myth. It is a myth created for our own conveniences. Oh, it's very tough to sit with a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old. Well, if you have time, they have the world with you. If you have time, they have the world for you. I feel. I think, well, each is waiting for each other to get an appointment. A 14-year-old is waiting for dad and mom to have an appointment for him. And similarly, parents feel that, well, what do we broach? Well, the way I'm changing, that's my topic of the day. The way I'm rapidly changing. I had little hairy growth yesterday. I had more hairy growth today. Let's talk about it. Let's have a round table, coffee table, tea, soup discussion at home. Why are we shy about it? Why are we embarrassed about it? Sex education classes are not about classrooms and schools. They are right in the family. Dad and mom need to equip themselves for anything under the sky that is happening to me should be known scientifically, learned information with evidence to every dad and mom. A good school does that, classes for the parents then, if they cannot. Because children will look back tomorrow when they are 21 and say, Dad, could you tell this to me when I was 13? Didn't you tell me about my body image, my way I look? And it's not about the looks and that outward beauty that matters today. It matters how soulfully I am such a beautiful working through the vicissitudes of life, the trials and the tribulations. This is what the teenager wants in a conversation today. I don't think it's difficult to connect. We have built bridges around us, they haven't. We have built bridges about our own lack of interest in teenage. I'm sure with more and more discussions like these, we need to break those shackles of our own reservations about ये टॉपिक कैसे उठाएंगे, ये टॉपिक कैसे डिस्कस करेंगे. Well, it didn't happen to us. Nobody spoke to us. Let's not repeat the history again, because times and history will not pardon us. Today we need to break the. I just heard Sumana ma'am saying it's so much to do about keep on repeating the idea that ये बात करनी है बच्चों के साथ, ये बात करनी है, करनी पड़ेगी. कुछ भी हो, वो मना भी कर दें, वो उठ के चले जाएं. Don't get dejected. अपने बच्चे हैं. But we start giving them the blame. Why did you do this? This high risk activity, this you cannot do. Getting up at 2 a.m. and being on Instagram. Why are you watching this? This is not for you. We are only giving them the culmination points, the shut up points. We are not traveling the road less traveled with them. The road less traveled is about informed communication, compassion, time, investment. We have to. You call it sacrifice, I call it sacrifice. Give that time. Your time will always be there. Their time comes once in life from 10 to 19. I remember a girl telling us in the workshops recently that we are growing up for the first time. You created the world for us. So join me in dealing with this world. You are going through your second childhood. I'm going through my first time childhood, which is entering to teenage. So I don't know the world you created for me. If you created this world, you gave me the gadgets and the devices. Don't blame me for it. Because this is where the troubled waters were created. So I had to learn to swim. I'm not able to swim. So help me, walk with me, listen to me. Don't tell me that time कम है, वो नहीं हो पाएगा, कैसे करें? Frustrating है, fluttering है, flickering है. Those are excuses. Parents have to walk the child, listen to the child, focus on the child, smile at the child, and have eye contact for the child. You cannot talk to the air and say that I'm talking to you.
Absolutely. More genuine and be absolutely open and let go of our own reservations. It's probably not as much issue from the child as it is from ourselves that is withholding to make us from making meaningful connections with adolescents. Ms. Sinha, how does the school come in and at this stage and help in the adolescent years?
So these are the toughest years, no doubt. But I think that's where if we bridge the gap and reach out to the child, whether it is school, whether it is parent, and let them realize that there is nothing known as a generation gap. We are here as friends. We are here to be with you. We are on the same side of the table, not across the table. And that's when they will be able to open out to you and speak with you, whether it is at home or at school. And I think also at the World School, what we do is we do definitely have a curriculum for social emotional learning. However, it's not a curriculum that we transact separately. It is beautifully entwined into our own lesson planning. So it caters to 5 areas, 5 very key areas: self awareness, awareness about the self, which is the most important at this stage. It also talks about social awareness. It also talks about building relationships and making responsible decisions. Now, when I say I entwine this into my lesson planning, I want to share with you just last fortnight, our middle schoolers were being taught something to do with, I think, economic production. And the teacher brought in the fair trade movement because we are a fair trade school. And the children were told that you need to present during the assembly on the fair trade movement. And it was a beautiful experience for all of us. The children showcased through a role play how the farmers, the workers are not getting their due because of the middlemen, and how we as students and educators need to sensitize the world and to ensure that there is an equitable existence for the labor class. They also did a fashion show and took on brands, and brands which were progressive enough to have a footprint which was environment friendly. And those fashion products that they showcased showed us how they linked towards sustainability. So empathy, looking at the change that you need to bring in the environment, all of this came on to the classroom by the students themselves. So ultimately, I think in these years, we've already provided them with the skill set at the primary years, and that skill set goes on to be with them throughout their life of learning. What we need to just do is let them know we are here for you. This is a time of course, peers are very important. But I think if we make them understand that as parents and teachers, we are equally important, we will become their peers. And once we connect at that level, empathy, compassion, all of that will follow without, I think, anybody really realizing that we are making an effort to bring in those values into our conversations. So I think it's all about making sure that these children feel comfortable, they are heard, they are respected. And when I talk about respect and awarding that respect to them, we have something known as the Recognition Day, where we not only give out academic awards, but more importantly, we give out awards for empathy. We reward and appreciate children who have shown this kind of behavior. And that is, I think, very, very important, because once they realize that empathy, compassion can also be rewarded and recognized, and they reflect and share with us how the school, the parents, and the teachers have contributed towards making them this empathetic, compassionate human being. So I think all these things really do help, and it's all within the teaching and learning that we are doing.
Absolutely. Um, and all of this is perhaps going to help our children also manage academic stress better. Dr. Nagpal, academic stress though can be very taxing to some students. And how do you feel that academic expectations can be moderated better to improve the educational environment?
Uh, Perfectly put, ma'am. There's no doubt that stress as a word is not been negative always. There are happiness in its peak form can be very stressful. So we know that the topper syndrome and getting those 98% marks can be beautiful, but there are majority who straddle through the uh, marks phobia, and the somewhere hidden away messages are still on in multitudes and millions कि कितने marks आएंगे, कौन से entrance में कितना score करोगे. So nonetheless, with the best of these schools trying to be honest with the idea that marks do matter, but only marks will never matter, and we all know the evidence about this. Later in life, by 25, 30, what a wonderful plateau it is that an average performer, I'm not talking about marks, in the school is leading some of the best companies in the world, isn't it? And people know that. You look at the Fortune 500 companies, whether they were all toppers in the school, well, we doubt that. So pressure is also somewhere like a bubble. We create it because we are feeling the pressure as parents. We create it because sometimes as teachers also we are driven by the time targets and driven by the Hall of Fame who are the toppers of the school. So we should not do that. I feel both families more than the school have a utter responsibility about not showering their own dreams onto the potential dreams of a teenager. What to do in life, what to love to do in life, and what I love that I can fall in love with the work I do in life is what is the aim of education and the goal of life to me. With my hands, my heart, and my head, the three H dimensions. Whatever I do, learning by doing, and if the school can prompt me to find that avenue or a group of avenues, who says that is only one career? I'm sure teachers can play a concert of piano also while teaching mathematics, and evening do a concert in an auditorium. Doctors are learning saxophone and piano. Doctors are moving out to become tennis champions. Who says there is one career? The freedom. You see the universities now. Look at the idea that you can do two full-time courses nowadays in the university. You can do as many short-term courses while doing a graduation in any university. And India is such a wonderful nation with 1100 universities plus. I mean, the amount of freedom available to imbibe, to internalize the graduation subjects and the permutations and the combinations. I think we are only lacking information at the right time, at the right place, from the right people, including the parents. They feel that, okay, writing this entrance exam and becoming an IITian is the golden gate of life. The idea is not that. How many of the IITians today are actually engineers? Please go back and think and find out. There's only a question from my side.
So
How
true.
many of the IITians today are actually engineers in life? Okay, it's a question for all of us. I'll also do some research on this. The purpose is not that we continue what we enrolled for. The purpose is I keep finding the dream I would like to explore. Very nicely, ma'am said, exploratory pattern of behavior is first seen when I'm a caterpillar, when I'm a little ant, when I'm a little small puppy, or a little kitten in the house. We love those little pets in the family to be very curious, exploring. Why not the babies? Why not the toddlers? Why not the teenager? Exploratory curiosity, creative curiosity is part of human nature. It's not about any education policy only. It's part of human nature to be curious, to be innovative, to be inclusive, and grow with the idea that let my dreams be my dreams. I think that's a purpose and the plan and the perseverance of any good school. Yes, it doesn't need 100 teachers to promote the creativity of 100 students. You just need the conceptual framework for it. And that's what we are hearing from all of you. Fantastic. Let's also see that the families implement this. Pushing your dreams, pushing your expectations about certain categorization of marks and achievement is a goal driven and a goal oriented learning of those 12 years from first standard to 12th standard. We are forgetting the process of learning, the process of internalizing knowledge and skills, and make it time and again goal oriented, result oriented, driven by destination. Same thing then applies to emotions also. We are expecting you to be a resilient human being, adaptable, accommodating to every trial of life. So, what I'm trying to repeat is, or reinforces, there has to be a freedom of liberty. The freedom of liberty is a different kind of liberty where exploration every point of time, when I'm moving to higher education, so entire schooling period, that exploration with certain guidance, of course. I totally agree. A certain degree of very pronounced discipline at home is to be done. We cannot have teenagers who take parents for granted. No, teenagers cannot take the schools for granted. They cannot break rules. Why did Australia ban last month? There is no social media for below 16 years anymore. Are we looking at banning social media because some other country has done it? No. We are the largest democracy in the world. We respect the teenagers' opinion, but we are also okay with the idea that let's not take each other for granted. Let's have rules, regulations in the family also. If the rules are broken, then the deprivation of the gadgets and devices is welcoming. We deprive that, but we cannot put laws onto banning social media at all. So let the exploration be there, and let the brain be accustomed to the idea of being empowered to make informed decisions, which is life skills, to be able to take informed decisions. When I'm flickering, when I'm falling away, well, parents and teachers and friends are always there to hold me on a tightrope walking. But that is the purpose of life. Tightropes will be there till you are 90 also. You'll be falling left and right every time. Resilience is what is the, I would say, resilience and happiness is the goal of education. Build resilient human beings for tomorrow. They can adapt to crisis. Managers of tomorrow are part of learning of best MBAs also today. Go to the best business schools. They're teaching you crisis management rather than how to make 1,000 crore turnover for the company. Are you able to be a crisis manager? They are the better employees today. Are you able to manage crisis at home? You're a better dad and mom today. Are you a crisis manager? You're the best teenager than today. So let's help them to understand the reality that ups and downs will be there, failures will be there. As Dr. IPJ Abdul Kalam said, fail does not mean you are somewhere behind. Fail means it is my first attempt in learning. Then I sail through it. Then I second attempt in learning. So I keep on learning even if I go back. I think that's the purpose of a school. Help us to come to terms with the realities of life, resilience building, rather than put dreams, put expectations, put the pressure about exams and topping the exam. That's where we go wrong in overall human development.
Yeah. If we can create learners for life, we've done our job, I feel. An hour has flown by, Dr. Nagpal, but we do have a few questions from the audience. So if we can extend by another 10 minutes, I'll quickly
Sure.
share those. One you've kind of touched about it a little bit right now is from Vinod Yadav from Delhi, and he talks about how to. He's asking for tips on how to limit mobile phone usage for children. So while we are no Australia banning social media, but what are some parenting tips on managing mobile phones and
I
mobile
think our honorable teachers here, Sonali ma'am and Sumana ji, can also tell us better. But to me, I think talk, and talk to your teenager, because the teen talk is so beautiful, because it reminds you of your beautiful adolescence. So take out time to talk to your teenager, build up a friendliness, break the bridges, which are virtual bridges of disconnection from them, if not disengagement from them, and help them to understand why do we listen to our peer group sometimes more than parents, because somewhere I feel comfortable with my peer group, and sometimes I feel part of the belongingness with my peer group. So can we work a little bit? I think that I come back to the idea that time conversations, even if it is demanding taking an appointment from your teenager. Dear son, can I have your 10 minutes? I wish to share with you something. I'm concerned. I am okay with the idea that let teenagers parent you as a parent. Let your teenagers do the parenting for you. They're in a different world. We never saw that world. We are seeing it now. They're in a different zone. They're different zone of technology. Let's walk with them, learn from them. I'm sure certain answers will come. And somewhere down the line, I'm not being very idealistic, but I think they are open to suggestions about not minimizing but rationalizing their social media usage. They're okay with it, because the what we need to explain to them, ma'am, is also the pros and cons, and sit with them. See, when it comes to, for example, I think all of us are aware, especially when we are in our late teens, the substance use phenomena in our country is grappling at the moment. Now, who knows when were the teenagers told that every cigarette carries scores of cancer agents in that tobacco, in one cigarette? Scores of cancer agents are there. How do we explain to them? So, scientific evidence works with our teenagers. Tell them the fact from the right source, from the right research in the world, and from the right people. So, the fact that social media addiction can actually be a mental health condition, a mental health disorder, whether it is internet gaming disorder or an internet addiction disorder, they can be major mental disorders, because intensity and duration of usage of social media can grapple with physical disorders. There are incidents of rising hypertension, obesity, diabetes, depressions in young people of overusage of social media. Sit and talk to them about it. Show them the evidence. Take out the newspapers. Download the research from all over the world. Tell them this is where we will not listen to our neighbor, uncle, and auntie, because they have somebody who uses a mobile phone for 10 minutes only. We go by your principle. You like it, and your school also says we'll share the knowledge. So कहने का मतलब ये है कि right factual knowledge about how my overusage of social media impacts my entire life, my physical health, my mental health, my academic decline, and I might need more than 1 to 5, 10 sessions with my own child, and help the child to understand that meeting a counselor, meeting the class teacher is not because there's something to complain about you. It's like we have a democratic, permissive discussion on this. Even we need to grow with you as parents. We need to learn from you. We may need your help to repair my mobile phone tomorrow. I'll not go to the shop, I'll depend on my child to do it. But then, nonetheless, let's not somewhere cross the boundaries where ill health from well being to ill being becomes so easy. And that is what is happening. From well being to ill being is taking hours, because that's where their knowledge about it is lacking. So we need to work upon it. A lot of conversations are required, and they are open to it. Yeah.
The next question, Dr. Nagpal, is very specific. Is from Ankita Tiwari. She says, my son is 6 years old. He lacks patience. If any activity requires focus, he is not able to do it and he throws that thing away. He gets angry and irritated. How should I handle it? And his tone of talking is usually crying or angry. How should I tone it down?
What's the age you mentioned, ma'am? The child
Six
is now
years, 6 years old.
6 years old. So just entering into the arena of primary schooling. So preschooling is done, right? Well, I can say that occasional defiance or oppositional behavior or hyperactivity and a lack of attention or even maybe reaction formation of this nature is not abnormal, not an aberration. These are part of growing up also. Of course, as a mother, as a parent, somebody feels that it is causing disturbance and anguish in good parenting, it needs to be addressed. That is well taken. And the addressal part would invite attention to certain phases of these so-called behavioral patterns, whether they are associated with certain demands, certain timing, or certain particular need-based completions on everyday basis. For example, a lot of parents find it very difficult to complete basic tasks like homework or hygiene or sleeping habits or dietary habits at home. My suggestion is to you, ma'am, we will not look at life as a 24-hour computer cycle. We will not look at it as a sort of a sliced away moments and hours every day. Let every child at home, as ma'am said rightly a short while ago, we may be spending 7 hours at school, but we have about nothing less than about 14 to 16 hours at home. And at home, we may have a different approach to my daily lifestyle. Of course, if it is unhealthy, that needs to be told in categorical language. But I think observe for some time and start putting a little bit of a I would say comma and full stop on certain undesirable behaviors which are multiplying in plenty over a period of time. For example, demanding things which are, according to dad and mom, distressing and damaging. It could be about the time for television, for the mobile phone, for certain dietary habits like junk food, or maybe certain toys, or maybe the hit and run video games which are chasing and bloodbath and all those. I mean, that if you feel, I'm sure you're rational enough to feel, with a gradual, I would say, privilege deprivation, and don't shut it over the 24 hours. Gradually depriving such demands and luxuries which you both feel or the overall family feels need to be cut down. It can be done now. It cannot be done at 16, by the way. It is right now, maybe 6 years, 7 years. Let it take time. What parents go wrong is they expect these results to be like viral fever. कि 3 दिन में ठीक हो जाना चाहिए. It might take 30 days, it might take 60 days. The journey is about keeping a little patience yourself. I know it flutters, it brings in a lot of frustration in dads and moms, mainly moms, because they have to put on edge so many things in life. You decide that this needs to be cut down to brought to a level where it is not over demanding patterns, and certain patterns of behavior can be uprised with a little skilled disciplining, but no punishment. It's not an era of punishments anymore. It should not be humiliating or punitive, but be firm, assertive, and learn to say a big no if you feel that you're right. Don't get into the frightened parenting mode or the helicopter parenting mode or the vigilance parenting. The authoritative part is sometimes where the resentment happens. But I fully agree, we cannot be just permissive about everything because we can afford it. We can do away with it because the child is demanding. So I think deprive gradually, learn to say no, be a little firm, let there be a little crying, doesn't matter. Let there be a little fretting and fuming, doesn't matter. Yes, testing times of parenting we are going through. Let's walk through the journey. It is not so difficult after a couple of years because certain messages from dad and mom or grandparents are very clear that they do not encourage this in this family. It may be the neighborhood uncle on demand, he may give whatever he wants to go, an iPhone to an 8-year-old also. But we believe and we are convinced that this is okay with us as a family. So do not have contradictory messages as a dad and mom to the child. Have a semblance of common disciplining matters. I call it the common minimum discipline patterns in a family. You may have differences with each other, sort it out behind the curtain. To the child, okay, I think your mom is right when she told you this. I think your dad is okay when he says you this. I agree with him. Children realize that, okay, both of them are in consensus. I have a choice. I'll follow them. It will come gradually. But if it is something significant, so significant that your distress is, geometrically and exponentially going high, then I think you should meet a professional counselor or a psychologist or a mental health professional. Take their guidance. Do not hesitate. In India now, it is strongly recommended. NEP has recommended. Counselors are not meant only for, you know, treating people. They are meant to help families to come together to establish certain ground rules. Every family has a rule, and how to gradually implement them without getting frustrated so much and helplessly coming back to the school. We need counselors. We need our class teachers are the best counselors. I always say every teacher is a counselor. So the patient hearing, active listening on part of the teachers will help you as a mother also. But implement what you feel is right. And I'm sure you're mature enough to know what is right for your child. If there is a confusion, ask the class teacher, ask the counselor, meet up the principal also. When three people guide you in the school, I'm sure they're right.
Absolutely, which is what, in fact, I was thinking if either of the principals would like to add to this case their point of view on how to help.
That's what we want actually.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I think Sonali ma'am and Sumana ma'am should join and help us in this answer because the partnership is what is going to help millions of families, the school and the family participation in building healthy, positive disciplining. Nobody in most of the cultures in the country, you look at China, you look at Japan, you look at many countries, they have very healthy implementation of disciplining methodologies. We got confused because eliminating punishment was very important because that was not correct for a growing child, but we cannot eliminate disciplining. So differentiate between the two. There is a way to be compassionate yet firm. And there are ways because you do it gradually, you learn. I insist every school, and I insist here also, let PTMs not confined to report cards only. Let there be more sessions of building healthy, positive, directed disciplining in the family. Let there be half an hour, 1 hour sessions taken up by dads and moms who have been overall workably successful in implementing discipline in the family. I'm sure those parents can volunteer to help the principal to conduct sessions. Just like the peer group helps each other in teenage, why the peer-to-peer sessions of parents to parents? All 100 of them in four sections of ninth class cannot be helpless parents. Some of them might have managed. So let them come forward and say, this is what I tried. I found that things are moving okay with my child. From 6 hours of mobile phone, it has come down to 1 hour every day. Oh, how did it happen? Can you guide us as a parent? This is what the school should do. Parent to parent workshops, not just with experts. Because expert may be seeing cases, but the parents know each other as brotherhood to help each other. I think that works a little better in my experience.
Ms. Sarkar, would you like to add anything to this point?
I was just saying, so wonderfully put, parent to parent brotherhood, because uh, I think the parents, I mean, the moment you have one successful parent who's been successful in
Yeah,
one thing, it'll go across to so many, and they'll feel so much more motivated, and I mean, they'll take it up because it's a proven success story.
true.
So wonderful, wonderful. That is a wonderful suggestion. I think we'll also start doing that. Um I would also say that if I heard the question correctly, Anu, you also said that the child doesn't seem to have patience with any activity that requires patience.
Correct.
So, I mean, things which I think has worked is anytime we desire a particular trait to be in the child, the parent needs to maybe role model first. So if we have to have an exercise which will require patiently sitting down, maybe a puzzle to solve, maybe the child and the parent can do it together. If we are trying to have imbibe patience in the child, making the child sitting alone, he may be just losing interest. Right now, his patience level may be much lower as compared to what we want him to come up to. Then, as parents or as teachers, that is what we can do. We can sit down. That is what teachers do. Teachers sit down with the child and say, okay, let's solve it together. So the first few times it doesn't happen, and then the child slowly comes up. So whatever value we want to do, the role modeling in terms of both parents and teachers is a must. we as schools do that. And I think, as Dr. Nagpal put it, high time we as parents as well do that. So that's all I wanted to
And
add.
Sumana ma'am,
Yeah,
I've heard many, and I did mention some days back also. There are schools who are having
yeah,
family darbars, and the teen moderators. The
right.
teenagers are moderators of the family darbar. It's
Mm,
like, okay, we are 30 in a class 9C, and all 30 may not come. So 15 parents joined, and some dads came, some moms came, and four students volunteered. Okay, I'll do the family darbar on gadget management at home, devices and gadget management. So some parents said, "Oh, it was very difficult." Some said, "Oh, I'm helpless and hopeless." Some said, "Hey, come on, what's wrong? We tried; it is working now." And over a cup of coffee, believe me, as you said rightly, they forget that they're sitting in the school, as if they're sitting in the community center or in a coffee day and a barista and talking to each other about childhood parenting.
yeah,
The good schools can provide that platform many times in a month also. Go class wise,
yeah,
go section wise also,
mm,
because a section is a little close family, 30, 40 of them.
yeah,
So unko bhi ek entity de do aap.
mm,
Okay, in the month of January 25th, 9C parents can come and sit in that small lounge where you have good books on whatever topic we are discussing, and also a small vending machine for a coffee. Have coffee and talk. It is a family darbar, and some teenagers will join you.
mm,
That heart to heart talk actually improves, because at home we may not do it ever.
mm,
So whoever comes in, say 10 parents came in,
yeah,
what school can do is make a report of that.
mm,
Okay, Mr. So and so, Madam so and so. So 10 students के parents आ गए, 20 नहीं आ पाए. But make an outcome report of that, circulate to all 30.
very true, of course. Yeah,
So what happens is, even if I could not attend, I'm
mm,
feeling guilty. But you gave me the report of those 10 parents and
mm,
have their names highlighted. Okay, thank you to these 10 parents. Next time I'll definitely ensure, because my child will make me feel guilty. Papa, you don't attend the family darbar. What is this?
mm, mm,
You know, so and so parent of my friend's father, he spoke so well about gadget management, about sleeping habits in the family. Why can't you talk about how we can do a little bit of dietary management at home with maida, aloo, chini, and oil coming down at home? Look at you, you're not taking care of your weight. So the father will run to the school next time to talk about dietary management.
very
So
true, very
resource
true.
resource people as parents.
Mm. Wonderful. Yeah, I think that's absolutely wonderful. And since there is no one formula to parenting,
Of course,
all these varied ideas will become so much of a, it's like a storehouse of, okay, if this is not working, maybe I could try that which the other parent tried. So thank you,
true.
Dr. Nagpal. That was wonderful. That was my learning for the day. Wonderful.
No, no, we are all.
Thank
These
you.
are experiences I get to know, so I
Yeah,
share.
yeah,
It's not.
very true, very true. And students, once being given agency, anything that we give it to them, they take it up with so much more energy and enthusiasm the moment they know that they have to lead it with their thoughts. It's like, it's a very human tendency. Anybody gets a bit of importance, he can come up with, double the zeal and enthusiasm to address an issue. And the moment we have the children doing what you said they will do, even if we have, and the number of students also will keep increasing. And the moment they speak about it, they hear about it, naturally it will make a huge impact on who they are, how they behave, how they interact, how they communicate, and how they make others feel. So I think this will have a huge impact. Thank you.
Absolutely. And
Last
ma'am, see,
question.
after all, we are learning from the NEP also. The new policy talks about breaking the barriers of the family and the school. No? Then why can't we start something like a whatever ideas come to your kids? I would be very happy that when you talk to the teenagers, they'll give you these ideas.
Yeah.
So like somebody asks, some uncle says, which school are you going? I'm going to GD Goenka. And my parents are also have joined that school. Oh, really? Parents have joined the school? Yeah, they're also students over there. That is the day we want to see. Okay, mom, dad also be enrolled hain. Two
Yeah.
Saturdays in a month, we have a parenting club. Sometimes my dad comes, sometimes my mom comes. If they don't come, they get it from me. So it's like the family has joined the school, enrolled in the school. It's not that child.
Very, very
A
true.
wonderful ideas here. I'm enjoying this conversation thoroughly, but I'm afraid we've already overshot our
We have
intended
to.
time by almost half an hour. So let's close this darbar right here. And thank you, Dr. Jitendra, Nagpal, Ms. Sonali, Sinha, Ms. Sumana, Sarkar,
Thank you.
and all the attendees who've been here all this entire 1.5 hours. Thank you all so much. And I see one hands up coming. Okay, that's just there, I guess. All right, but we should close this darbar right here. Thank you so much. Have a lovely Sunday evening, everybody, and
Ma'am. Thank
hope
you,
to
ma'am.
see
And
you
we'll
all
keep
and
Thank
carrying on
you.
having
with
those
this.
darbars,
Thank you.
Thank you
both
Yes,
for
you
inside
must.
and
being so
online.
patient with us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much,
much.
Thank
Dr.
you, Sonali, ma'am.
Nagpal.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Thank
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 you,
you,
everybody.
everybody.
Anu. Thank you, Mr.
you.
Kar.
Bye. Bye-bye.